Toledo women's soccer takes center stage as head coach Mark Batman joins the show alongside Rocket standouts Morgan Spittler and Gabrielle Anulare. We break down a historic night in U.S. soccer as Nashville SC lifts its first U.S. Open Cup trophy. All that and the latest from around the pitch coming up right now on Inside the Game.
Welcome to Inside the Game on the National Soccer Network. Now, here are your hosts, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wangler.
Good morning and welcome back here into Inside the Game number 171. Jonathan Turner alongside Nate Wangler, Ryan Glinsky, our producer. It is Thursday, October the 2nd. It was a busy night of soccer here, not only for us last night, but also around the country. We'll dive into that. But Nathan, man, how are you doing on this fine Thursday?
Good. Yeah, that was a fun U.S. Open Cup game yesterday, so looking forward to talking to that. A confident take from Ryan Glinsky, got another one right, so congrats on that one. So that was a good night of soccer, though, last night, and a lot of good conversations coming up as well. I know you were previewing those talks that we had with Toledo. I know we've been getting more athletes on, which I think is fun. I had a great talk with Amelia Brown from Charlotte. Now, obviously, we're going to get Toledo into the mix as well, so that'll be a really good talk. But, yeah, all in all, it's eventful night last night, and I think it was fitting that Sam Surridge was the one that ended up getting the game-winning goal for Nashville. So we'll talk about all that coming up.
Glinsky over here, not humble in his thoughts and feelings.
I wish. No, Mike Jack's on the chat. He was with me too on Nashville. This whole they lost, so they got to root for Austin FC. They lost to him. Nope. Just who's the best team? Who's the best team?
I never
Nashville's
said
the best team.
Rooting never came out of my mouth. I never used the word root.
You got to pull for them.
I'm just saying,
all I'm saying is you got to root for the best team. Who's the better team? Who won? And who did I say was going to score that game-winning goal? Who did I say?
Sam Surridge?
I don't know.
Nashville. What did I say? Music City. Music City. What does Austin
Let's
FC
jam.
have besides Matthew McConaughey? Nothing. They have nothing. Nashville, though, gets it done. BJ Callahan, the most underrated U.S. men's national team manager of all time, even though he was an interim, gets it done again. What I got to say is, again, I'm correct on a prediction. I'm correct once again. Interesting how this all works. Interesting.
Oh, yeah, he's going to rub it in. He's going to rub it in. You knew that one was coming, though, before we even came live.
He's going to rub it in. There's no doubt about that. But we have a great show lined up here today. Again, we have Mark Batman, Toledo women's soccer head coach, and along with standout players in Morgan Spittler and Gabrielle Anulare. We had a chance to talk with both of them last week, and we'll have those interviews coming up here in just a couple minutes. As Ryan has already alluded to here, last night Nashville did win their matchup over Austin FC, a final score of 2-1. We'll dive into that here after those interviews. The CHSL finals took place last night as well here in Michigan. We'll show some highlights from those games as it was very reminiscent of 2022 in which we covered those finals as well. So we'll dive into that and more here on Inside the Game this morning. We're going to step aside here for commercial. We come back. We're joined by Mark Batman, the head coach of the Toledo Rockets. So you're watching episode number 171 here of Inside the Game. Welcome back here to Inside the Game. Nate Wangler, Jonathan Turner, Ryan Glinsky, our producer. And once again, we're joined by another head coach, this time in the MAC on the women's side, and the Toledo Rockets, their second-year head coach at the helm there, Mr. Mark Batman. And we are excited to have you join us here once again here on the National Soccer Network.
Yeah, thanks for having us, guys. Appreciate it.
No, we are excited. And I know I said Batman, but it's actually pronounced Batman. So it's not Batman, but Batman. I wanted to do that on purpose because I would imagine for most of your life, if not your entirety of your life, you've had to, on some level, talk about the uniqueness of your last name.
Oh, yeah. I could go on story upon story upon story. I mean, we had to get our number changed when I was a kid, when the original Batman movies are coming out, because we get phone calls at like 1 a.m. and then we had to unlist it. I was never Batman at Halloween, though. Never. And I always tell people, because I live it every day, why would I dress up as somebody that I'm not? So yeah.
That was actually going to be my question. I was actually going to ask. I was imagining that you would have never been Batman because, again, you live it for 365 days a year. Why do it on purpose?
That's right. You don't wear, if you're in the band Pearl Jam, you don't wear your T-shirt, right? So, yeah.
Well, they do say that not all heroes wear capes. And so you being a head coach of a women's soccer program, not only this one, but also in Northern Ohio. I mean, you've had great success at your schools. And I want to talk about your job now here at Toledo. You're taking over a program. I know early going of this, you're trying to get through it and trying to figure out a way to get this program in the right path. What has been your biggest challenge here so far since taking over?
It's just the MAC is tough. It's such a hard conference, and the parity is so even every single game. There are teams that finish in the top 2 one year and then finish in 11th the following year. It's crazy how tight the parity is in the conference. I don't think that's a challenge. Look at that as opportunity. I think our goal is to be consistently a top 4 team in the MAC, and that's a big reason why I took this new challenge. Coming from an environment where I was and looking at, okay, let's try to do the exact same thing at Ohio Northern that we did for so long and try and recreate that year.
That's a tough thing to do too, going from a Division III level at Ohio Northern, which obviously you had a lot of success there, coming from there to a place like Toledo. Jumping levels like that can be tough. I mean, it can be tough on teams, but it can also be tough on coaches because there's a new, obviously, level of expectations. But in terms of the resources, and you talked about coming in the MAC too, and in terms of competitiveness, really top to bottom, it's one of the more competitive conferences that you can join. What have some of those challenges looked like coming from a place like Ohio Northern now into this position with Toledo, and how's it been adjusting to that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think our support at Ohio Northern was very, very good, not just from a budgetary standpoint, but from a collegiality standpoint. And that was important for me. And those are some of the questions that I asked, making that transition here when they were kind of recruiting me for the position of, why haven't we been as successful as we potentially should be? Location here is fantastic. We're right in the middle of the MAC. Everything's a bus trip, aside of UMass that's now joined. So that'll be a weekend long trip with UMass and Buffalo. Budget is very, very comparable to our goals. Our staffing is great. Facilities are great. We don't have men's soccer, so everything is just ours. So there's a lot of positives of this place. It's just getting it all aligned. And I'm not a very patient guy, but I've learned to be fairly patient with this process because we know that we are making improvements daily, weekly, with recruiting efforts, transfers, with all of it. So it's gonna take some time, but we're excited about it.
It's tough to be patient in the world of sports. It's all about, what have you done for me lately and what have you produced? I mean, that's we're in a results-based business. We talk about that all the time. On the other side of that coin, though, what do you carry with you from your experience at that D3 level with Ohio Northern? What stays the same in your mind? What do you carry into Toledo that maybe it's the way you coach, maybe it's something else, another element? What do you carry with you that works now in your position here with the Rockets?
I think some big things. The culture piece for me is huge. How we treat these girls every single day. We are very sure to not just look at them as soccer players, but human beings, and developing those genuine relationships with them where they feel comfortable coming to talk with us about whatever challenges kind of they're going through, because at the end of the day, they're student athletes for about 3 hours a day, and they're human beings, and they get pulled in a lot of different ways, and those are things that were very important for me coming from Ohio Northern and instilling some of that stuff here. And the first 5 months, we had this big area that is like a lounge area for them, so they spend some time in there between classes and or pregame or whatever. That place was a ghost town. And after about 5 months, that first semester, that place was packed before practice. So that told me that we are doing things the right way. If we can figure those little pieces out, results, wins, all that stuff will follow.
They say that, obviously culture is extremely important, but also having a clear set of standards that the team has to live by, right? I would imagine in your time as a coach, your non-negotiables have probably changed in some level, or you've stuck to certain non-negotiables, right? And we here in Michigan have had a chance to be around a lot of great coaches who say that their non-negotiables have changed because society and the game has changed. And so I'm curious, what are your non-negotiables as a coach? What are the things that you hold, they say, that will stand the test of time? But others, maybe, hey, I can give a little bit on this one because times have changed. I don't need to be so firm or so strict.
Yeah, there's three main, I think, kind of things that are very true and dear to us. And the first one is respect. Respecting opportunity, respecting your teammates, respecting the coaching staff, respecting your campus community, respecting the city that you're in. That stuff goes a long way for us. That kind of goes with how these girls treat each other every single day. We don't expect a group of they're a bunch of sisters, man. We don't expect them to all be best friends, but there has to be a mutual respect, amongst them day to day, and sometimes they just need to be reminded of what that looks like. We just like every other team, there are girls that aren't used to sharing a bathroom or a living space or whatever, just based on how they grew up. And so, when you have such a young team like we have right now, those are things that are, daily reminders for them. I think two other pieces: trust. That's a huge thing. That's such a hard thing to gain, an easy thing to lose. And that's something that's near and dear to us. We will always be transparent in our conversation with them if they ask the hard questions, and we're not mean about our answers or disrespectful, but we're giving them the information that they need so that they can continue to grow as young adults. Because that's, at the end of the day, that's the job, right? Get them ready for what's next. Soccer is just a part of that, and the last part is the integrity piece, and those three things for us are, I'm not going to say our pillars, but those are three things that, if they handle those things really well every single day, regardless of what profession they go into, they're going to be successful. They'll be successful moms, they'll be successful heads of the household, family, whatever, and sport is just an advocate of part of, of how they get there for that. So.
And we've seen your players succeed in the classroom a lot, just in the small sample size that you've been at Toledo. And a lot of coaches have talked about that too. Like, success beyond the program looks so many different ways. It could be playing professionally, but it also could be having a family or getting a career or doing any of those other things. How much pride do you take in seeing what your players have been able to do in the classroom? Maybe not necessarily on the field, but what they've done off the field, because it's good to keep that perspective. I still think that's an important piece.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Our team, I joke with them all the time. They're a bunch of nerds living in the library. And I think that's funny is most people think Division III kids only care about grades. No, they are just as competitive and care just as much about sport as Division I kids. And the other part is most people think Division I kids don't care about grades. They think it's the exact opposite. And these kids stress just as much as our kids at Ohio Northern did on exam days or homework or labs or whatever, or running from lab to get to practice, those sorts of things. So it is really, really rewarding to see how successful some of these girls are after they're done. The annoying part is they all run marathons and stuff now. So it's like, why was that drive? Where was that drive when you were here? I had to get you
Where was that?
Go do the extra, But I think it's great. I've had a ton of ONU alum come to road games when Toledo's traveling, because we have kids all over the place and they all have families now, and it puts things in perspective too. Like, okay, I did my part in that person's life to the fact that they're driving an hour when we're playing in Indianapolis to come see us. that part is really, really rewarding.
We talk a lot about the dynamics at play when it comes to soccer and specifically college soccer. There's a lot of opportunity for young women to go play soccer at the collegiate level in this country. Obviously, we actually talk about at the Division I level. I think it's twice as many opportunities, and so that means that there's a lot of players out there who are fighting to go play at the highest of level. And there's a lot of I'm assuming you're getting inundated with players a lot, through the recruitment process. When we talk with schools in the mid-major world, we ask the question about them being a destination school or them being a pass-through, because in today's transfer portal world, it could be that, right, where players are going to come there and they're going to use your program to get to the next level, and they might stay there for 4 years. There's obviously a variation of all of those things. Do you consider Toledo to be a destination school in the MAC, or do you consider it to be a school where players can get both be a destination as well as that pass-through if they're looking to go to that next level?
I think the goal will be both. Our main recruiting, I guess the backbone of recruiting philosophy is we want girls that love this place when soccer's not happening. Now I think it's a great compliment if a girl comes here, we develop her for 2 years, and then she goes on to be, transfers to a top 30 Division I program. I would consider that a really, really good compliment of how we develop people. And at some point, that's going to happen for us. At some point, we're going to lose a kid to the portal, that is looking for the next bigger thing, or wants to go play in the SEC or ACC or something like that. But the long-term goal would be, why can't we be that program that people want to come to, rather than just lose kids. I think the MAC, as far as a mid-major soccer conference, it's got to be one of the hardest ones in the country. Just because of the parity and the special players that are in it. You have Western and Buffalo, arguably two of the best, most consistent teams in the MAC that, Sean goes to Pitt and beats Pitt. Lewis goes to Michigan and beats Michigan. That's the type of programs, and I said earlier, like that's where we aspire to get to. Aaron at Ohio is doing some really good things there. And I could go on and on and on, but those are the programs that we are not necessarily mirroring or anything like that, but that's the long-term goal of getting there.
Yeah, another thing that we talk a lot about, and we had a chance to talk with Coach Burke here earlier, the same question about being consistent, right? At Ohio Northern, consistency was part of your program, right? You guys had a long history of success there, and staying consistent can be the most challenging things that you can do. Obviously, there's got to be a recipe. You've talked about the pillars, so to speak. But what has been your biggest part of building consistency within your role as the coach? Because I would imagine, again, the family and all those things. But again, we're living in this very different world. We're trying to find the player, the talent, that culture that you're trying to build, and then being consistent within your results can also be the most challenging.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of things need to maintain consistently. Our recruiting philosophy and the type of kid that we try and go after. The way I lead or try to lead this group positively every single day and help them navigate all the ups and downs of a college soccer experience. Consistent practice habits, consistent travel habits. I get made fun of a lot, but I'm a big routine person. And once you find that routine for success, you got to consistently stick with it. And sometimes when you have such a young group, they need to get reminded of what those winning habits look like every single day. And ironically enough, that's kind of what we talked about yesterday, prior to practice, and everybody kind of had a voice of what that looks like for them. But it's the consistent message. It's consistent standard that we're asking from them, regardless of how they're feeling. If they're only feeling 80%, no one's going to go through a season at 100. Well, we need 100 of your 80%. We can't have 80 of 80, and those are the things that help us consistently compete and put ourselves in conversation of winning games.
No, that's that's fantastic. And obviously it takes great players, it takes great assistant coaches, it takes an entire village to bring out an unbelievable team and a team that can go far. What is that player that you're looking for at Toledo? Because when we talk about players, there's a lot of talented players out there. It's not so much about finding the most talented players, it's about finding the right player, right? And so that college athlete out there, that freshman who's looking to come to Toledo or looking to play at a high level, what's your message to that player who's like, hey, I want to maybe go to Toledo and maybe play for Coach and for this university?
Yeah, I think, that's a great question. I think, what they, I guess, could expect is we're going to make them as uncomfortable as possible all the time, because that's where they grow, and kind of learn from those failure moments, but also embrace, the winning moments. And they have little winning moments every single day. I think what we look for in specific kids, we have done a lot now of research of like, okay, who these kids are, talk to guidance counselors, talk to club coaches, if, this is such a small kind of big recruiting world that if we don't know somebody, one of our staff members does, or another staff member does, or whatever. So, really doing the research to figure out why this kid is choosing Toledo and not just because she wants to play soccer, I think is a big part of it. Because if you find those kids that really fit what you're looking for, and for us, it's a really simple blueprint, great soccer player that comes from a great family that is the most competitive kid that we have, right? Like those three things for us, are the things that we look for. And how do you find it? Man, we get a lot more out of watching a team or an individual play that's losing by 2 versus winning by 4.
Yeah.
And we'll watch mannerisms after the game. If they lost, like, what are they upset? Are they going straight to their phone? Are they going straight to family? We'll watch body language of parents on the sidelines. And that tells us who this kid potentially could be. There's a lot of little things that, goes into it. And it's not just the X's and O's, like to your point. It's a lot of character evaluation and seeing how they really fit kind of what we're looking for. And we don't recruit to a specific system. I've always liked recruiting the best kids we possibly can and then figure it out later. Because if you recruit to a system and you lose 4 kids like we have, we're down 4 center backs right now, and we hope to get 1 back, but we're definitely down 3 for the year. If we have versatility, okay, we can still go and be competitive. Rather than, we only have 3 center backs, now we have to change the system, or what do we do? Rather than throwing some versatility back there. Like we've made 2 center mids outside backs, and they're really comfortable in the ball and they're very athletic, and it's just teaching them the shape and some other little 1v1 stuff that maybe they're not used to of being in the midfield, stuff like that. So.
Yeah, we here at NSN to kind of wrap this up. We're Michigan folks, right? So we're big Detroit sports fans with everything. Obviously, the Tigers being one of those, and their AAA affiliate, the Mud Hens, are in Toledo. So I've been to Toledo a few different times, obviously to see the Hens play. Haven't gotten to stick around a whole lot, so I am curious because I will be down there in the future at some point. When you come back from these road trips, wherever it may be in the MAC, and you get back into Toledo and you got one place to go eat, what's your favorite restaurant? What's your destination? What's your spot you would recommend to someone coming to Toledo, maybe for the first time?
Man, am I avoiding parents? And I'm just kidding. No, never. There's a few spots. If you want to go downtown, Dirty Bird is fantastic. Great menu, good drink list. Casual Pint is about a mile from campus. They have about 30 different kind of beers and stuff on tap, and really, really good bar food. And then if you're a pizza guy or love pizza, Stubborn Brother, which is right on campus. Barstool Sports rated it best college slice in America. Unique story behind it. There's 3 brothers in town that all own restaurants. 2 of them wanted to open up a New York style pizzeria, and 1 didn't. And so the other 2 opened it up and called it a Stubborn Brother, and they're crushing it. So, I don't know if they let them back in or what, but I coached one of their daughters in youth soccer for about 3 or 4 years, so that's why I kind of know the story.
I'm normally a Chicago style guy. I like mine to look like an actual pie, but I'll go fold it just to try it because I believe I trust Barstool on that.
It's special. It's good. It's good. So.
Well, Coach, we appreciate stopping by here today. We're excited about what you're doing there at Toledo and look forward to seeing what you can continue to do there in the MAC.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind.
Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics.
Letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail.
Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play,
NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate.
call 586-304-4405
And start watching today.
An all-out battle of skill, passion, and determination. The NISA Pro Cup, presented by the National Soccer Network. The stage is set, 10 teams, 8 days, 1 trophy, 3 moment, exclusively on Roku TV. It all kicks off October 13th on the National Soccer Network.
All right, welcome back here to Inside the Game. Jonathan Turner alongside Nathan Wengler, Ryan Glinsky, our producer, and we had a chance to talk with Mark Batman here. Let's start that over again. I don't want to do that again, man. It's like this Batman. I'm just going to say Batman because I think it's the right thing to do.
We never asked what his favorite Batman movie was.
We did not ask that question. It's true. All right, let's do this again. Oh, boy.
All right, you guys are still recording,
It's our
so
fourth interview of the day. So All right, Jonathan Turner alongside Nathan Wengler back here on Inside the Game. We had a chance to talk with Mark Batman here earlier in regards to Toledo women's soccer, and now we're joined by 2 of the players on the team, and we welcome in Morgan Spittler and Gabriela Aguilar. And first off, welcome to Inside the Game in the National Soccer Network.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yes.
You're very welcome. So the question I have for you: what is harder, to defend and or to go out and shoot in a college Division I game, or get onto a podcast like us on this show this morning? What's harder?
I'm gonna have to go with podcast on that one.
I second that.
It's okay. You know what? We've gone down this road where we've in live time we've had coaches just can't figure out the audio. It's not unique, and it's the fun part of what we get to do here each and every day. But let's talk about this Toledo side. You have a new coach here, been there 2 years now in his second year. You're trying to make your way here in the MAC. What's it been like so far at the start of this season compared to last year?
Well, I can touch base on that. Basically, last year I feel like we had more of an older team, I'd say, versus this year we're very young, very youthful team. So to me, that's a positive. Could be more of a negative to some people, but on our side of the story, I think it's definitely a positive to have a younger team compared to people who are onto their 5th or 6th year. Well, we have those young legs that most teams don't have.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that we just have a bigger bench this year. I mean, last year we had a lot of people on the team, but we didn't really use the depth of the bench. And I think it's really nice this year to have a lot of girls who can go in, make a crazy impact, get off for a little break, and then you can throw someone else right in, and it really doesn't affect us because I think everyone really has such a big role on this team and is very versatile, can play a lot of different positions. So I think that really helps us.
Something I think you see a lot in championship teams, you see a mix of both, right? You see your vets, obviously, that have established that culture, and then you see your young players. And when you get a perfect mix of those two, and then you throw in the things that Coach was talking about, team camaraderie, team culture, all those things are going to carry you to wins. But when I look at you guys, you talked about how you're a younger group this year, and clearly that's the case. one thing that you see a lot out of winning programs is sometimes they'll get a crop of players, whether it be one recruiting class, and they all kind of come up together, right? So they learn how to really play well together. That energy feeds off of itself. What is the clubhouse like right now? How is the young group meshing, and what does everything look like moving forward for you guys?
I think we are honestly all very close. I think they all came in with a very big personality, which actually shocked a lot of us. We were all like, they seemed very comfortable right away, which you can think maybe that could be like, okay, why aren't they very nervous? But I think it actually really benefited us because they all came in confident. We're able to have a voice right away. Whereas I think last year we were a little more nervous with that. Like we were told, like you're a freshman, but have that voice like you're a junior. And I feel like that's something they all came in with. And I think it honestly made us feel really close right away. And we didn't really have that awkward stage of, oh, I don't really talk to you that much, or, oh, I don't know how you play. I feel like it all came very natural.
When we talk about the dynamics at play, both of you chose obviously to go to Toledo, and I know that when I looked at yours, Gabriella, that you said that this moment you walked on campus, it was like I knew this is where I wanted to be. For you, how was that for you, Morgan? Was that the same kind of experience for you?
Yeah, I think that I loved the location. I'm also much of a homebody, so it was really perfect with the distance from where I grew up. And I feel like the campus was exactly how I wanted my campus to feel. It felt very safe. Campus in general was beautiful. So definitely was one of those where once I got on campus, got to see the coaches in person, meet some of the girls who could potentially be on my team, I think it all kind of clicked for me. And that's when I kind of felt like, okay, this is where I want to go.
Every year I'm sure that you sit in a room, and I'm sure it's probably very much like in high school too, right? When you get in as a team, you're like, hey, what are our team goals? Like, what are we doing? What do we want to do this year, right? And we've talked to a lot of coaches, and coaches oftentimes talk about goals, and a lot of times it's like, let's win this game tomorrow, right? That's our goal, right? The rest of them, whatever, but let's win tomorrow. What was a team this year? What did y'all come together and say? What do you want to accomplish as a team this season?
So we have a rocket acronym that we put in our lounge room, and it's kind of like a reminder. Each letter in the rockets, it stands for something, and that's just a reminder to our team of what we want to accomplish this year. And I think coming from high school to here, it's just such a huge difference because it's like you're surrounded with people who have the same goals as you, the same care for the sport as you. And I think, every week we step in our circle and we say, let's go undefeated this week. Like, there's no other option. We just want to go undefeated that week, and that's our goal for the week. We don't really look the month ahead because we don't know what's going to happen that month ahead,
For both of you, what have been the biggest hurdles going from the high school game to playing in the MAC?
I think the competitive piece, the MAC is a different level of competitiveness. It's physical. It's a different type of drive that you need to have. Like high school, I feel like even if you're playing I don't know. I just think like when you step in a MAC game, it's all about who wants it more. You can have the skill, but at the end of the day, it's who wants the goals, who wants to defend the goals, all of that. And I think that'll really benefit us this conference.
Yeah, touching off her in high school is kind of, well, if you're better type of situation, while in the MAC, it's right when you step on, you can feel which team wants it more than the other.
To touch on something really quick, I know you got one more here, JT. I think it's interesting. We ask a lot of coaches about recruiting and transfer portal, and obviously that world has changed a lot. And whereas it used to be, you try to build regional relationships because you want to get the best players that are immediately around you. It's changed a little bit now because now you have players from all over the country that are deciding to go different directions depending on obviously what their needs are. But I look at your roster. You actually have a player, I believe, Ella Zoroff, who is from Grand Rapids. That's where I'm from. And you have a lot of Michigan. You have a lot of Ohio sprinkled throughout the course of your roster. How strong is women's soccer in the Midwest, in both your opinions?
Oh, it is. It's by far, in my opinion, the strongest. I played on an ECNL team, and just traveling for that and playing against Midwest teams, I was like, I could tell these girls are going They're going Power 5, Big Ten, They're from all over.
Yeah, we had a great run in ECNL, and then we get to tournament. We're playing all these top teams, and then it hits reality, and it's like, oh my goodness. And then you start hearing, oh, she's going to this school, she's going to this school, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm defending a girl going to UNC. And then you start freaking out, and it's honestly just crazy, the different level.
Yeah, I'm curious about this. If we're talking about the Midwest, you look at your schedule, the teams you're playing, where you're traveling. I know tomorrow you're traveling back up here to Michigan and to take on the Chippewas.
Let's go.
I don't know if this is the same for the entire team, but are there like teams you look at your roster and say, like I can't wait to play here or play this team specifically? And if it's the same, that's great. I'm just curious what both of your thoughts are on that.
I'd say, I mean, I'm always obviously like excited to play. Like we have Western Michigan coming up, for example. I mean, they just won last year, so I think I know, seriously. I mean, I think that's something we're all like super excited just for the competitive aspect. And I mean, last year I think we held up really good against them. Unfortunately, we were down a girl in the game, but I mean, we were like, I think we could have had them last year, so why can't we have them this year? I mean, we have a stronger team. We have all of the athletics with it, and I think that's the game that I'm super excited for personally. And I think a lot of our team would agree to just kind of go at them and see what we can do with it.
Yeah, and I feel like, before playing a team, we look at the scouting report and say, oh, so-and-so has 8 goals in the past 6 games. I feel like our team is pretty good with that, and individually, we're very, we don't really care. Like, okay, you could have had 2 goals against Central Michigan, but that you're not going to have 2 goals against us type of situation. It's definitely competitive, and seeing stuff like that, like, oh, she has 8 goals, I only have 2. I just think it doesn't affect Toledo soccer, in my opinion.
Ryan Glinsky, who's our producer here, he graduated from
Dude, chill on the chips, man. Chill on the
Central
chips.
Michigan over here, and you're going there tomorrow, okay? And I just want to tell you from the bottom
That's
of
my
my heart,
favorite day of the week, by the way. Thursday
you need to
MLP.
win that game tomorrow because
Absolutely.
he is so in your face.
It'd
about
be
the Chippewas
insufferable
that
in here if you don't.
You need to beat him tomorrow. I'm sorry.
No, I mean we scored 1 goal this year, so
That's fair, but no, you need to go in tomorrow and take care of Central Michigan, please. Sorry, I just had to because all joking aside, it was Lewis Robinson at Western Michigan here just a week and a half ago was on our show, and when Ryan came on and started talking about Central Michigan, he goes, "First off, I apologize you weren't accepted into Western."
I didn't even apply there.
My goodness.
Anyway, hey, so we make this a habit. We like to talk about food on this platform. We feel that food brings people together. Unless, of course, you start talking about putting pineapple on pizza, that changes everything. But it's
the best.
So our my question for you is this: and you can each answer it your own way. We asked your coach, where in Toledo, is there a place that you go to grab a bite to eat? That's great. Maybe it's like home for you. Where do you go to get that meal that meal that you crave? It could be any restaurant, but just curious where you guys, you ladies, go to get that meal.
I mean, we both. You might have a different answer. Olive Garden is something I have at home as well, and it's it's just our safe place. We get
McDonald's
it
is
every
great.
day before game. I'm pretty
But
picky
McDonald's
eater,
in
so I don't
Toledo is the
really-
best. I'm just messing.
Yeah,
I'm
so
just
I'm
messing. Go
pretty
ahead.
basic with. No, I mean it's true. If anyone else heard me say that, they always make fun of me when I'm like, Olive Garden is the best Italian restaurant. They always will clown me for it, but I think it's amazing, and we get it every time before a game, and it's just a basic one, but it's my favorite here.
Honestly, for me too, coming into Toledo, Olive Garden was my favorite restaurant, and I didn't know Morgan before that. So when we met, we clicked pretty well. We get Olive Garden twice a week. So
Yep.
Oh, okay, so I got to ask the question: what are you going to Olive Garden for? Are you going there for the all-you-can-eat bread and soup and salad, or what are you landing on there?
Well, Morgan loves her meatballs.
Yep.
She definitely loves her meatballs. She always finesses them into getting more breadsticks for sure. I personally get the fettuccine Alfredo. So
just a heads up, there is an Olive Garden by the soccer stadium in Mount Pleasant, just to let you know. So
Oh,
after your game, you can
Love
go
that.
there.
After you beat up
Yeah.
on
After you roll, CMU.
tomorrow, go grab
You
your
can get a nice meal.
some breadsticks. Okay, okay. So obviously, and there are a lot of people that will say that going to a chain restaurant, at least you know what you're going to get, right? That you say it's safe because you know that they're going to be consistent. That's the one thing that you get from those type of chain restaurants. Is there any other places that you have dared to go to in the Toledo area as far as food's concerned?
that taco place.
Oh, yeah, that one's kind of
Ooh.
We went to Agave and Rye, but that's also pretty chain place. I mean, Stubborn Brothers is really good. I know Batman said that. I don't know, we've only gone there like twice. My parents love it. I know that's a big place that families go whenever they visit for the games and have time to get food after. But I mean, it's a pretty unique place. I think their pizza's really good. We went there for, I know, an event one time. So I think that's one that I would be able to say that I actually like. That's not a usual one I'd go to, and obviously we don't have at home or anything like that.
Yeah, Stubborn Brothers definitely a top pick here in Toledo, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we appreciate both of you stopping on by here today and being a part of this. You're actually our first 2 college players to be on here at the exact same time, so we appreciate that. And we wish you and your team much success here the rest of the way. And yes, please absolutely go ahead and beat up on the Chippewas tomorrow.
Come on, man. Come on.
We'll do.
Absolutely.
Good luck.
Rockets.
Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, ladies.
Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you.
Have a good one.
You're very welcome. Another great conversation there with Morgan and Gabrielle. And again, with what we had a chance to talk with in regards to Coach Batman and obviously the players there, they have a bright future there in Toledo. But we'll be right back here on Inside the Game.
Boost your brand with NSN's live soccer broadcast, reaching a passionate audience in real time. Engage fans during thrilling soccer matches. Maximize visibility with tailored ad packages. Add 30-second or 60-second commercials for concise, impactful messaging and greater audience connection. Call 586-304-4405 and start your campaign today.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind.
Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics,
Letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail.
whether it's a championship win or a legendary play.
NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate.
Call 586-304-4405
And start watching today.
The Flint City Bucks are Michigan's top soccer franchise with 4 national championships, 9 conference titles, and 15 Great Lakes Division titles. They have produced 107 players for Major League Soccer, and they focus on attracting top talent and shaping soccer's future. Michigan Bucks Academy joins MLS Next new competition tier starting in September of 2025. This offers elevated levels of play and flexibility for high school participation. The Academy will provide premier development, high-performance training, and exposure to scouts through regional tournaments and MLS Next events. For more information on tryouts, training programs, and key updates as we prepare for our first season in MLS Next new tier, visit MichiganBucksAcademy.com.
Welcome back here into Inside the Game, number 171 here on this Thursday morning. And great conversations that we had there with both the players and Morgan and Gabrielle and Coach Mark Batman. And during our interview break, Ryan, he's going to...
So during the break, we played FIFA. And I've been killing John recently. Like, this dude can't win a game. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to be Nashville. They just won the Open Cup. He was Real Madrid.
No, I was Minnesota.
No, you were Real Madrid. He had Mbappe. He had Vinny. He had Rodrigo. He had Rudiger. I won that thing 5-3. I was up 5-1 at one point. Sam Surridge hat-trick. And then I was like, you know what? Let me be a different team. I'm Leeds. I'm Leeds United, led by the American Brendan Aronson. He's Barcelona. I beat him again. This time coming in golden goal. And then right now, we didn't finish up this one, but I'm beating him again with Leeds 1-0.
Yeah, it's time to hang up the cleats, JT. I don't think the streaming career is ever going to happen, man. I mean, it's fun to play video games online, but these kids are different, dude. I'm telling you. It doesn't matter what game it is. You know, it could be FIFA, it could be Fortnite after a long day. You won't even land. You know, you'll still be suspended midair, and all of a sudden you're back in the lobby. Yeah, man. I mean, it's tough. I would be interested to see how I fare against Ryan, but from everything I've heard, probably not well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I mean, I feel like Cranbrook felt probably last night. We need to show the highlights of that game. So last
You
night,
want highlights or you want the score?
let's do the highlights first here. We'll start with Cranbrook and Catholic Central here last night. Again, this game took place out at Oak University Lower Fields, where Golden Grizzlies call home. This is the first goal of the evening. Look at that little flick into the back of the net. I mean, you can't say enough about that one. That was Palushai getting the goal, and then here is Zarko.
2 goals in the first 10 minutes.
2 goals in the first 10 minutes, as Ryan alluded to here a moment ago. And then, so it's 2-0 going into halftime break. And then look at this rocket coming right here from about 30 yards out.
But
low.
wait, it gets better.
It does get better. And then here is the 4th and final goal for Catholic Central. And look at this shot, just again, curling away from the goalkeeper. You can see the Jacob Nooner just not happy with just the right angle, right?
The best part about that was Corey, the producer. He goes, dude, and we got the coach bad. This is awesome.
So Catholic Central claims the Bishop final here yesterday. Again, Adrian Palushai, Kai Zarko, Grant Morazian, and Gavin McClanahan all getting the goals there yesterday. 4-0, the final score. That is their second Bishop final in the last 4 years for Catholic Central. We hop over now, take a look here at University Liggett as they took on Royal Oak Shrine last night.
Hop back up. Ooh, collision.
In the state of Michigan moving forward.
There we go.
Is Ancona, and I talk about a great individual effort from him, and equally impressive was the celebration there at the end. And then here is Liam Gaddy, just inside the 18, going top shelf, makes it 2-0. It was 1-0 going into the halftime break. And then Martin sends a ball in, and this guy, Brendan Logan, the freshman, climbs the ladder, finds the 3rd goal of the evening for University Liggett.
Not his best celebration.
It was not. They were up 3-0. And then look at this, is Caesar Soma, the son of head coach Mark Soma from Royal Oak Shrine, taking it on his own and trying to pull one back. He does, makes it 3-1. But then Ancona, who again in that first half, you saw what he could do with the ball. Look at the effort here. And Logan is right there on the doorstep. Makes it 4-1 at that point. And then Caesar Soma able to get one more here with another great effort as Liggett kind of falling asleep there as they already had a 3-goal lead. Slides one past Hines, and final score there 4-2 in favor of University of Liggett. They continue to stay undefeated. They're 13-0, number 1 ranked team in the state. And as we talked about yesterday during our broadcast, is that 3 years ago in 2022, when we covered the first ever Catholic final that we ever covered, it was Catholic Central taking on Cranbrook. So that was a rematch in which that game, Catholic Central did win that game, but they did so in extra time and golden goal, controversial fashion. And then again, University of Liggett played Clarkson Everest. And so 3 of the 4 teams from that tournament were in this tournament, were in the finals this week. And University of Liggett won then as well. And so we had the exact same champions as we did 3 years ago. So it was a really cool evening, and congratulations to University of Liggett. David DeWay, who's in his last season at University of Liggett, getting and claiming that title.
And looking back at that game, Catholic Central definitely looks like a team that could go on and win the state championship. They were dominant all game long. Didn't give Cranbrook really a shot at all. And then looking at the other game, which again, 2 Division IV teams, but Liggett. If I mentioned it on the broadcast, I go, if you told the coach before the game that 3 of your 4 goals were going to come from freshmen, that was Liam Gaddy, Brendan Logan, I think he would have called you crazy. And that was absolutely what happened. Liggett there's a reason why they're undefeated in the number 1 team in Division IV. There is a reason for it. They look like a prime team ready to go. And Shrine on the other hand, 5th team in Division IV, I believe. And that was the first loss of the year, I believe. I think it was their first loss of the year. And but no, all 4 teams really good. They look poised for deep runs into the playoffs, and I'm excited to see how they do, especially with all the teams having some heartbreaking fashion losses in overtime and in the PK shootout last year. That they look prime for a deep run. All 4 of them, really.
Especially for David DeWahey, too. I mean, if you want to be able to close out a successful career, a very polished, successful career in which he has one in the sport of soccer here in the state of Michigan. And obviously you've been all over that, JT, really since the inception of what this company was. I mean, you talked about it. You've kind of been in all different respects. You've been on the sidelines. You've been a ref. You've been a player. You've been all of it. So, I mean, you've seen it really from beginning to end. There's no better way to really ride off into the sunset than to have one of your best seasons in your final season. And so I think they're playing inspired right now. I think that's a group that understands what this season means to not only him, but means to this program. And when you have a group of players who understand that you're going into your final year, that this is it for you, they're going to play inspired. And so I think they're playing inspired right now. And I think that's exactly what we saw yesterday. So if anything, it kind of creates a little bit of this full circle moment for him, in no better way to ride off. Obviously, still a lot of work yet to be done. They want to go win a state championship, obviously, but this is a good step in the right direction for them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's important to also say that, again, Catholic Central and Cranbrook play in completely different divisions, right? You got Division II versus Division I. Catholic Central is playing in that they're actual, again, they play in the Catholic League. And so you have a varying degree of Division I, Division II programs within that league. And while it's impressive to go out and win this thing, the true test, the true challenge for Catholic Central will be obviously in the playoff run, because they'll see different opponents, right? And, playing a Troy Athens, playing an Ann Arbor Skyline, playing a Saline, playing Novi, playing those teams. Not saying that they're, like super, super better than what you might see in a Catholic League final in Cranbrook, but it's different. And Cranbrook will not see another team like Catholic Central the rest of the way. And so I think it's important to say that. And while Cranbrook last night did not win that game, had they faced off another Division II team, I would argue they probably would have been much more successful in that yesterday than playing against Catholic Central. So that's obviously the nuance of this tournament or these games. But either way, again, we wish all of them much success here along the way. It was a great coverage yesterday for us. We're glad that we were able to do it. If you want to watch those full broadcasts, you can do that by going over to our sister channel, MI Sports Network, on YouTube. You can also check out the highlights. Those are currently available for both games on our NSN YouTube channel. It'll be up on our Roku channel here later this morning. Well, it is almost close to the end of this show, and we got a lot to talk about with Toledo and whatnot. But we're not gonna take a break. We're gonna get to the question of the day. What is our question of the day? And we're gonna dive into that right now. There, Ryan Glinsky.
I know.
Turn
Nate
on
will
your
probably
mic,
have
young
a
man.
bigger Huh?
I said just turn on your mic.
Yeah, I know. I turned it off. I was drinking my Pepsi. I know Nate will have some word to say about our question of the day. But before we do that, Salt Athletic, official sponsor of us here at NSN, save 15% by using promo code NSN15. Visit saltathletic.com today or scan that QR code. But today's big. It's a big day. Not only could the U.S. men's national team October roster be announced, but is it the final day for the Detroit Tigers? Do the Tigers win today? Nate, let's start with you, Mr. Baseball.
Man, I hate being such a Debbie Downer, man. Because I went on radio yesterday after that game, the huge show. It's on, I believe it's 96.1 here in Grand Rapids. I can't remember, but Bill Simonson, who's been around the scene for a long, long time, always talking Tigers baseball. He actually watched it live on air yesterday, called me afterwards to talk about it. And listen, there's going to be a reputation that follows this team into the offseason if they can't win tonight, and that's they can't hit in clutch situations. And that has been the problem with this Tigers team over the course of the last handful of years. And I understand the pitching has let us down. I understand that the bullpen's been roughed up, right? And there's almost this mentality with this Tigers team that they can just put anybody out there and they'll be able to make it work on the mound. I thought the Troy Melton decision yesterday was just abysmal. I thought A.J. Hinch really kind of managed that game into the ground. And right now it's a combination of we can't hit in clutch spots. Cleveland is a house of horrors. I hate playing there. And I think sometimes our coaching staff likes to coach themselves out of situations rather than do the smart thing, which is, leave Casey Mize in there for longer. Look at what Cleveland did. They left Tanner Bybee in there. He was not comfortable. I mean, 4 straight innings with 2 runners on, and you can't do anything with it. That's a product of a team that trusts their starter and doesn't play like they're about to be eliminated, which is what I thought we saw from the Tigers yesterday. So I'm not really confident going into tonight at all. Jack Flaherty has been so up and down. He's been so Jekyll and Hyde. We have a pen behind him that if they're not set up for success, it might get spotty. But listen, all you need to do is just run into a couple of good swings. Like, that's why 9 innings of 1-game elimination in baseball is the biggest roll of the dice you'll ever see in your life. And Cleveland's hitting home runs with guys that didn't really do that in the regular season. I mean, Bo Naylor, and I forget who hit the other home run, but it's not important.
Valeria.
I don't think Valeria, there you go. I don't think it's going to happen tonight. But again, all it takes is running into one in the right spot, and all of a sudden we're into the next round. But yeah, I mean, the fact that we still have an opportunity after what that last month was is beyond me. So I'm going to go with no. They probably don't win it tonight or today, whenever it is. But the confidence is not high.
Yeah. First off, I believe what happened last year was a team that overperformed based on their roster, and again, a lot of things went into that run, and they didn't back their way into the playoffs. I mean, they worked their asses off to create history that had never. I mean, what they did last year was remarkable, and it took a lot of energy, took a lot of things to have to be working right for that to work. And we saw what happens on the flip side of that when things aren't working at the end of a season, right? We saw them again; they backed their way in, and to be fair, you could argue that maybe that third game against the Guardians, right, the one that they won, that had the Guardians maybe not taken their foot off the gas for a minute, that they would have made the playoffs. And so I feel like we're almost kind of like have maybe higher expectations for this team than they really should be. This team is not a team that from the top to bottom, like we saw in the early 2000s with Justin Verlander and that side. I mean, we had a really good team. Not saying we don't have good players, but top to bottom, this is not the same team. And I think we have a team that we got the best out of, and we still need a few more pieces, I think, to pull this thing together. And so I think that, again, going into this playoff run, going into like the last half of this last month, and watching them how they were losing and watching all that, they just ran out of gas. And again, you don't have the certain pieces that you need in order to pull this thing together. And so, no, I don't think they're going to win tonight. And again, if they do win tonight, that's actually, to be fair, I don't know if we want that either. I mean, yeah, you can say we want more playoff games. Great. Yeah, but the end result is we're going to get our asses kicked in the next round. So, just get the season over maybe, and let's get ready for the next one. Go get our pieces and come back and do this again next year. It's just, I don't know. They're not going to win tonight, and as much as I am a huge Tigers fan, because I am, I just don't think we have enough, and that's it. And to be fair, the Whitecaps stole all of our thunder, and that's the Whitecaps stole all of our thunder.
And the Lakeland Flying Tigers.
As with the Mud Hens, right? Didn't the Mud Hens steal some thunder too?
Lakeland, yeah, Lakeland and West Michigan.
My prediction is we're going to lose tonight or this afternoon. I don't even know when they play. I think it's at 1:00 again. I think they lose. I just think that this team, I have a power stat for you guys. In the last 4 playoff games, so last 2 this year, and then in the last 2 where we could have clinched to go to the ALCS last year, with runners in scoring position, the Tigers are 4-46. That's right, 4-46. With runners in scoring positions and opportunities to clinch to go to the next round 2 times, one being the ALCS, one being the ALDS. And I just don't have faith in this team. This team is just so frustrating since the All-Star break. I don't trust them to do anything. And I think not all of it's on A.J. Hinch. I thought yesterday was on A.J. Hinch, but I think a lot of it comes down to Scott Harris. I also believe that the players also kind of thought, because Larkin has mentioned it before last year at the deadline, when we didn't get help, they're like the whole mood of the team kind of was like, well, we need help.
We've never been a free agent team though. We've never picked up people on the trade deadline. I feel like we've never done it.
I mean,
not again. Trade deadline after the All-Star break.
Omar Infante, Anibal Sanchez.
Yeah, it's Yeah. Well, but the other thing is like when you look back at what the trade deadline was, like your option was Eugenio Suarez. Like in terms of like bats that could completely change a team, that was it. I mean, that was the list right there. And so, how much did you want to sell in order to get a handful of months out of someone like that? Because that would have required getting rid of at least one, if not two, of the big three that we were talking about on the Caps team to begin the season. I think the bigger issue here is like, why is Kevin McGonigal not on the team? Why are we not trying everything that we can to put a new bat into a new position? I mean, Cleveland could debut a kid in his first major league game and in a potential elimination game in the playoffs. Why are we not willing to maybe speed up the timeline of one of our top guys to give ourselves a chance? Yeah, that is the issue in my mind. But even those 2000s teams you were talking about, JT, they didn't win a World Series.
They did not.
I mean, they had issues too. They had a bullpen that was patchwork,
and they got there.
And they won no games.
And they got there. And again, if we're talking about first off getting the show half the battle, right? But what I would say though is, as you know this, everything changes in the playoffs. Your bullpen, I mean, the way you manage your pitchers, everything changes. You go to a 3-day rotation, right? You're not like, it's a completely different situation. And so we just, as you mentioned, what are you going to get out of Flaherty, right? What are you going to? It's like Jekyll and Hyde is what you just mentioned here a moment ago. I mean, and that's indicative of the season. And so when you have those kind of like question marks in your bullpen, you have those question marks, as you had alluded to as well, Ryan, with the fact that we're 46 with the runners in scoring position. I mean, that's pretty shitty. I mean, that game was 1-1 in the fourth. Actually, the Tigers actually scored a run, but then it was due to review. A player was, I don't know the exact. I was driving in my car when I heard what was going on, but it looked like a player was tagged out at third base, and then another player was coming in. So that was all called back, and they would have taken a lead at that point, been 2-1. And so you could argue that, hey, that call obviously, which is the right call, maybe change some of that game, but. Yeah, I don't have enough of the gas in the tank right now, and we don't have some of those pieces, and I don't think, again, the trade deadline is very different in baseball than in a lot of other sports. I mean, traditionally you build your team from your farm, your minor system, right? Typically you bring in these players come in, you're developing them, right? And that's how these players come in. I'm not saying you don't have big pieces that come out of the trade deadlines. I'm not saying that, but I mean, like, it's not the same in baseball as you might see in other environments. We get so hung up on the trade deadline. You know what I mean? Like, I can go get a closing pitcher, maybe get something that can help you in the bullpen. But, I don't know if there's a pitcher out there or a player out there that would have really been like, oh my gosh, this at the trade deadline that would have made the Tigers a way better baseball team down the stretch. But I'm also not paying attention to baseball as much as I was. So I would always go back to you on that, Nate, if that was the case. But either way. Another great show. 171 the book. We're 28 episodes away now from 200. And exciting times. I didn't hear any of that, the typical TikTok sound. Did we miss it?
Maybe we're not live.
It's possible.
Oh no, we're still live.
Yeah, normally hear this ding, ding, whatever it was. Anyways, but yeah, so the great show. We'll be back at it again here tomorrow, talking more soccer. The thing I was going to say too is tomorrow night we do have on at 8:00. We've got a soccer game, Metro FC hosting, I believe, Drita. And then we have the NISA Pro Cup draw tomorrow night, 8:00. It was announced yesterday, by the way, that one of the teams will not be playing in this. Again, I have to look at the press release. It came out actually while we were doing our CHSL finals last night. But we have to take a look at that and see who. We can't draw a team that's not playing, so we'll have to double check that. But either way, that'll wrap up our number 171 here on this Thursday morning. That's Nate Wengler, Ryan Glinsky, our producer. My name's Jonathan Turner. Have a great rest of your Thursday, everybody. Be back here tomorrow morning for number 172. From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wengler bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk, real soccer. This is Inside.